It's such a beautiful, cool morning here, the perfect time for planting stuff in my garden, and today I want to plant these sweet potato seedlings in this raised bed behind me, and I want to take you with me for the entire process. Somebody's watching my baby, so I finally have 3 hours of uninterrupted time to work in the garden. I wanted to say uninterrupted me time because that's kind of what it feels like this morning. So I can't wait to plant a lot more seedlings, and hopefully I'll be doing a lot more filming too. Also, if you're new here, hi, my name is Adriana. I garden in beautiful Transylvania, Romania, Zone 6. I have a small but very productive garden that is keeping us fed and well nourished throughout the entire year. I'm focusing a lot on root vegetables this year as in previous years as well, so that our root cellar is full of them and we're eating throughout the winter. So first things first, if you're curious about my sweet potato seedlings, I actually bought them this year because I didn't have the time or space to start them. But it's one of my goals to do it at some point. The most important thing is that the soil is well drained and they get full sun, which is why I chose the raised bed behind me. Let me show you what I've got in there. So this raised bed has served me well these past couple of months. I've started lettuces in here that I've transplanted all throughout my garden and left the rest of them just for the cut and come again method, which looks really messy at the moment. I also started a lot of brassicas, which I've transplanted all over the place, mainly this bed with kohlrabi. And also my seedlings, they were sheltered in here by this low tunnel, which I'm going to dismantle right now. So yeah, the other great thing about this bed is that it's really fluffy, well draining soil, unlike some of the other beds in my garden, and it is also in full sun, unobstructed by other structures or trees or anything like that. So these two beds would have been ideal for sweet potatoes. I have carrots in there, so let's get to work. So to get sweet potatoes that aren't obstructed by a bed that's too short, you would ideally want a bed that's at least 1 foot deep. This is a bit less than 1 foot, but it's really fluffy, and sweet potatoes, they don't grow lower than 20 centimeters anyway, so I think it's gonna be fine. So right now I plan to pull everything out and mulch everything with straw. I don't think I'm going to add any more manure because the contents of this bed are actually very old aged manure, at least 4 or 5 years old. Plenty of nutrients, plenty of nitrogen. We'll see how it goes. I don't know about you, but I really love clearing my beds. I aim to use most of my beds for 2 crops. So whenever something is done in June and July and I get to harvest everything and then clear it out and make it nice and fresh, it kind of feels like, you know, doing a spring clean, cleaning my house. It's so satisfying. And this bed is going to look so amazing by the time it's planted and mulched with a thick layer of straw. Okay, so my bed is finally cleared up and I laid out all the plants. I have 16 sweet potato plants in here, which I have lined up so it's easier to plant them. The ideal distance between plants should be about 30 centimeters, so about 1 foot. I have squeezed them in a little bit more than that because I could only fit in about 16 plants in here. As you can see, they only have leaves on the top, and what I plan to do is actually bury them deep, kind of like tomatoes, about 2/3 of the plant. This will help them establish better and produce better. The ideal distance between rows is actually about 2.5 feet, about 3 feet if you can. I can do that in this bed, so I'm going to have about 2 feet between them, but my soil is very rich, so hopefully they won't have to compete as much for nutrients. We'll see about that. Also, if you're wondering if it's not too late to plant sweet potatoes, in my climate it certainly isn't. I've only planted peppers about a week ago. It was really cold at night, so it's finally a comfortable temperature where these basically tropical plants can thrive. Okay, so I finished transplanting everything. I gave them a good watering and then I mulched everything with straw. Since the plants are still small, I'm not going to cover them with straw so that they are able to grow unobstructed. But once they get established, I'm going to mulch some more around them. Now, if you're scared of mulching sweet potatoes with straw, I don't blame you. In fact, the person who sold me these seedlings said that one year they lost their entire batch of seedlings because they mulched with straw and slugs like hiding in there. So overnight they just ate all the seedling leaves. I've mulched my other beds with straw and I had young plants in them. And although I do have slugs in this garden, I haven't lost a lot of seedlings, maybe a couple of lettuces, but I would have lost those mulch or not. So I'm just gonna take my chances because I'm not very good at watering my garden. I like watering my garden, I just don't have the time. So sometimes we do it consistently, sometimes we don't, and that's not a good thing, I know, but that's just life. So don't be afraid to grow sweet potatoes in your garden, in raised beds, and even in containers. One year when I was starting out, I planted sweet potatoes in a wheelbarrow. It was in a shady part of the garden. The soil structure wasn't great. I always forgot to water it, and much to my surprise, oh, and not to mention I overcrowded the container. I may have planted like 4 or 5 seedlings in there. There was no distance between them at all. And by the end of the season, I got really nice looking, pretty big sweet potatoes. So that was really surprising. This bed is the sunniest bed in my garden. So this year I'm doing things right. And we'll see the size of sweet potatoes that I get in this particular bed. Stay tuned for updates. And if you found this video helpful, please subscribe to my channel and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!